Okay, good evening, everybody. You're all very welcome to our open evening this evening for our Executive MBA program here at University of Galway. My name is Dr. Orla Linehan, and I'm the Program Director for the MBA here in Galway. And on behalf of myself and the entire MBA team, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to you all this evening. Thank you very much to you all for joining us. Thank you for showing interest in our program this evening. I hope you find the event useful and informative, and particularly in terms of maybe helping you to make a decision about possibly pursuing an MBA with us here in Galway. I hope you get lots of information from our speakers this evening. So I know that people are still filing into the room. So just as people are settling in and coming into the session, I'll give you a brief outline of the agenda for this evening's event. So I'll begin by providing you with an overview of the key distinctive features of our MBA program here in Galway. And then I will hand you over to some of my distinguished colleagues who teach on the program, and they will talk to you a little bit more about what they teach on the course and why they particularly enjoy teaching on the MBA program. And then I suppose perhaps of most interest and relevance to you will be maybe hearing the real life insights from the cold face of it. So we have joining us this evening a number of current participants on the MBA program, and you'll also hear from some of our former graduates on the program, and they will be able to share with you some of their own personal experiences from their journey on the program. And we'll finish out the evening by giving you some brief information on the current scholarships that are available for the program and how you might go about applying for some of those scholarships. So we will leave some time for questions at the end of the session, but please indeed right now or at any stage during the session, if any questions pop into your head as you're listening to us speaking, please feel free to pop your question into the Q&A or chat function that you will see appearing for you on the webinar. We have a team of MBA team members working behind the background, and they will endeavour to try and answer as many of your questions as possible during the session. But indeed, we will address any of the remaining queries at the end. Okay, so what is our MBA program all about here in the University of Galway? Well, we're housed in the J.E. Kern School of Business and Economics. And in the School of Business and Economics, we've built an international reputation for teaching and research excellence. And that's not just us saying this to you, but this is actually confirmed by a number of quality accreditations that we have received in the School of Business and Economics. So you can see there a number of accreditations that have been awarded to the school: ACSB, AMBA, recently been awarded the Athena Swan Silver Award. And these international accreditations are evidence and recognition of the quality educational offerings that we provide in the School of Business and Economics. And I suppose specifically then speaking about our MBA program here in the School of Business, the MBA program was actually established way back in 1972, believe it or not. And I suppose the aim of the program at the time really was to bring management education to the west of Ireland. We were one of the first MBA programs of its kind outside of the Dublin region. But despite actually having over a 50-year history of excellence in MBA delivery, you'll be pleased to hear that continuous improvement is actually at the heart of what we do in the MBA program. So we're constantly striving to improve the curriculum, and particularly we want to meet the needs of industry. We're always engaging with our industry stakeholders in terms of what's relevant for them, what's needed in our MBA curriculum. Some recent evidence of that is the addition of our new cybersecurity for managers module, which we've recently added to our curriculum, and it's a really popular choice because, as you can imagine, cybersecurity and the risks and the threats that cyber attacks present for organizations and businesses is very relevant now for all organizations. So what are the objectives of the program? Well, we aim to provide a curriculum of immediate value, coupled with an excellent integrated learning experience. And I suppose particularly here in the J.E. Kern School of Business and Economics, we strongly believe in engendering values that are consistent with a business for society agenda. and instilling those societal values in our participants. And actually that's really embedded right throughout the school's strategic priorities and the learning curriculum. And I suppose ultimately one of the key learning objectives of the programme is focused on you, particularly as a participant on the programme, and that is to prepare you for accelerated career progression. Choosing an MBA is a very important decision that you wish to pursue to advance and accelerate your own career. So our objective is to help you to do that. And we do that by guiding you on a transformational leadership journey. So I suppose if that's what we're promising you with our program, you might be sitting there now wondering, well, how do you actually deliver on those promises? So I might elaborate a little bit on the 3 learning pillars of our MBA program. And really the core pillar of the program is that transformational leadership piece, which I just spoke about. And this pillar is a combination of 3 different modules, and then an integrated learning activity at the end of your learning and your knowledge. And the first module that you will undertake is actually straight off in year 1 of the MBA program. You will undertake leadership development. And this is really a very personal module where you'll actually undertake a really personal reflection of yourself in terms of your leadership style, maybe your current strengths, your current weaknesses, maybe areas for improvement. And you will set out a number of goals, career aspirations, and really reflect on where you are at the moment in your own leadership journey and maybe where you would like to get to at the end of the 2-year program. You will then add a global perspective on leadership to this at the end of the first year of the program, where you will undertake an experiential international gateway trip. Currently, we make a trip to our partner university, Fordham University in New York, and I'll speak a little bit more about that trip in a few minutes. But in terms of that transformational leadership pillar in the program, you will then add to that in the 2nd year of the program. And I suppose really in the 2nd year of the program, you will begin to apply those leadership skills that you began to develop in the 1st year. You will apply those skills through your leadership and change module. And ultimately, you will undertake a capstone applied MBA project, which is a real life project that you can apply those leadership skills. And these projects often carry on even after you have finished your MBA journey with us. And I suppose, you know, to really enhance that leadership piece of the program, we really believe that one of the key, you know, distinctive features of our MBA program here in University of Galway is that we provide and offer a number of masterclasses and leadership lessons to our participants. And what this does is it really gives our students the opportunity to engage on a one-to-one basis with many, many national and international business leaders, entrepreneurs, experts and academics in their relevant fields. Here you can just see on this slide a small sample of some of the experts that we've invited in over the past while to speak with our students. And I know from personal experience in sitting in some of these sessions that students really value these opportunities because we're quite lucky to have a relatively small class size in our MBA program here in Galway. And what that allows our students to avail of is real quality one-to-one exchanges with top experts and top leaders in various fields. And often what you find that happens in these sessions is that these top leading experts will really open up and will really offer personal reflections on their own journey and maybe some of the challenges and the difficulties that they've come across in their own journey. And it's really a valuable opportunity for our students to tap into that expertise and really get that opportunity to engage with these leaders. So I mentioned to you that the main, I suppose, core pillar of the program is that transformational leadership piece. And that really is a journey, you know, right from the beginning of the program to the end. But we do have 2 other learning pillars embedded right throughout the curriculum as well. The second of those pillars is the business for society pillar. And really what this pillar centers on is sustainability, governance and ethics. And this pillar is all about helping our participants to, recognize and understand that really we all have a responsibility to serve the wider society, the planet. And this is very, very relevant and very important now for all organizations and all businesses. And it's really about getting participants to realize that no matter what organization you are, you're operating in an ecosystem and you're relying on all of your other stakeholders. So it's really about embedding that sense of public value within our MBA participants. And finally, then the third pillar of the learning curriculum is what we like to refer to as the creative edge. So we like to give our participants a creative edge in our program, and we have a number of modules that help to develop these creative skills in our participants. So this pillar fosters creativity by empowering our students, motivating continuous innovation, developing entrepreneurial skills in our students, developing negotiation skills and storytelling skills in our students. I suppose in terms of how the program runs, we are a 2-year part-time program, and we very much blend on-campus learning with online delivery. We have a number of 2-day blocks each semester, typically run on a Thursday and Friday, approximately 5 blocks each semester. And these blocks are in-person on-campus blocks. And really, that's one of the real unique selling points of this MBA, because having those in-person on-campus blocks gives our participants the chance to debate, to discuss, to critique, to engage with their peers. And really, our participants always comment on those invaluable peer-to-peer exchanges that they can avail of with their classmates, with peers, like-minded peers on their program. And it really gives our participants a wonderful opportunity to collaborate and develop a sense of camaraderie in the class. But, we do recognize that all of our participants in our MBA program are very busy professionals, have busy professional lives, busy personal lives. So we do try to provide an element of flexibility in the delivery of our program. And we do that by providing one online class each week. So one evening a week, students undertake one online class, and that allows our busy participants to schedule their work and personal commitments around that online learning. We do hold a residential leadership workshop block, and we do this at the very beginning of the program. And I suppose we do this at the very beginning of the program to actually get the participants in our course to begin to foster those networks and those collaborations and those relationships immediately, straight away. We find that it's very useful to go off-site for this first residential block. So we go out to the beautiful region of Renville out in Connemara, and we spend 2-day intensive days workshop out in Connemara. And really this allows our participants on the program to start developing networks that they will actually rely on throughout the remainder of their career. I don't want to preempt what maybe some of our current students and former graduates will say tonight, but I've no doubt that some of them will perhaps mention to you the value of the network that you really begin to develop with the MBA program here in Galway. And I've heard it many, many times from former MBA participants that it's so useful to be able to pick up the phone and call one of your former MBA classmates anytime you're presented with a problem or even an opportunity. You really get a chance to develop that really rich and valuable network when you start the MBA program here. I briefly mentioned to you already that at the end of the first year of the program, our participants undertake an international study trip. And we currently visit the Fordham Gabelli School of Business in Manhattan in New York. And maybe to just, I suppose, give you a sense of the type of experience that you will avail of on this immersive learning journey and this leadership journey. Some of the highlights of some of the previous trips that we have made to New York have included visits to the New York Stock Exchange, the United Nations headquarters, and the world famous Lincoln Center. And of course, students also will attend a number of seminars and a number of guest talks. And you'll hear from various leading academics and industry experts. And we're constantly collaborating with our partners in Fordham University to ensure that the talks and the seminars that you will avail of refer to very current, very topical issues, very relevant issues. So in recent visits to New York, our students have heard from guest speakers on such topics as sustainable business, ESG reporting, which is of course a very important compliance issue now for many organizations. So again, constantly trying to provide our participants with topical issues that will be of relevance to them in their own careers and their own roles. I'd just like to touch, I suppose, on one other unique feature of our program here in University of Galway, and then I will pass over to some of my teaching colleagues to have a quick chat with you. So just to mention our unique mentoring program that we have here in the MBA in the University of Galway. And we really feel that this does give our program a distinctive competitive advantage. And I suppose the reason why this program is so successful is because of that history of having 50 years of experience in delivering MBA education. Because of that 50 years of experience, we actually have a really vast and extensive network of top business leaders right throughout our MBA community. And it never ceases to amaze me how generous all of the members of our MBA community are in terms of when it comes to offering mentorship, offering time, offering support to our current graduates on the program. All of our MBA community are always willing to help and offer that dedicated mentorship. And I know that many of our former students on the program have spoke of this aspect, this particular unique aspect of mentoring and how it has helped these students on their own leadership journey. I suppose coupled with that is a very dedicated, specific, bespoke career support that we provide to our MBA participants here in the University of Galway. Participants in our program can actually avail of career support specifically from the head of the Career Development Centre in the University of Galway. And it is the only program in the university where the participants on this program get direct access and support from the head of the Career Development Centre. And students can avail of many supports from the Career Development Centre in terms of executive coaching, reviewing applications for job applications, reviews of CVs, coaching on interview skills, goal setting, career planning. And really important to point out here that you avail of these supports during the MBA journey, but you can actually avail of these career supports up to 3 years after you graduate from the program. And this is a really invaluable service that is offered on a personal basis, specifically to our MBA students on the program. So real valuable career support, which many graduates find is often even more useful after they have finished the MBA journey. So what I'll do now is I'll maybe stop talking for a few minutes and let you hear from some of my colleagues. So we're joined this evening by a number of faculty who teach on the MBA program. And I hope you enjoy listening to some of their insights. So first this evening, we're joined by Professor Kate Kenny. Kate is our Professor of Business and Society here in the J.E. Kearns School of Business. And I believe, Kate, that you're actually meant to be teaching MBA students right now. So thank you very much, Kate, for giving us some of your time. I know that the students will really, prospective students out there and members of the audience will be really interested to hear what you teach on the program and I suppose why you particularly enjoy teaching MBA students. So over to you, Kate. Thank you.
Thanks, Orla. That's great. And hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. So I'll tell you about the two things I teach at the moment on the program. The first module is called Leadership and Change. So very much ties into the leadership, I suppose, journey. I teach it to second year MBA students. So leadership is something you hear a lot about, but I mean, basically, some people are attracted to leadership positions and always have wanted to occupy one and then find themselves doing it. Others are just, they get very good in their own jobs, in their own professions, in their own skill set, and find themselves in leadership positions and find themselves looking for the skills needed to survive and to get job done and to motivate colleagues. And so it's the challenges around that that we deal with in the leadership and change module. So I guess I go on about this quite a bit, but I really do believe that if you're going to be learning leadership, you want to do it as a practice. What I mean by that is it's an ongoing skill set that you can learn a bit of theory and then you want to be going to put it in practice at work and then coming back and testing it against the theory and getting input from your colleagues and your lecturers and your mentors. And so I think that's the beauty of an ongoing long-term program like the MBA, where in my module, for example, we get to do that testing over the period of 3 months. So short courses won't give you that, what I would say. And so what we do on the module is we teach, and it kind of ties in with what Orla was saying about creative and art, creative practice and creative edge. So the textbook we use is by Bowman and Deal. It's an MBA textbook and it's called Reframing Organizations. So it takes the philosophy that leadership is almost like an art form, that if you are skilled at leadership, it's about bringing creative and innovative solutions in the moment to problems that otherwise would be tough to solve. The reframing bit comes because each of us brings our own frame to the world and to the problems that we see. Some of us might, I mean, my own background is civil engineering, so I see everything in terms of structures, rules, regulations, forms. So I have a structural viewpoint. But the other three frames that we teach in the program, as well as the structural, would be the human focus, and then the cultural and the political. And we ask people on the module to start off with a wicked problem, a problem they're dealing with in their own leadership world back in their organization, and to try and understand the frame they're bringing to it. And then through the module, we work through reframing that. And it's a real eye opener. So I think a lot of us often overlook the political because we tend to try to avoid politics. Nobody really enjoys getting stuck into office politics. However, everything in some respects is political. Power, different interests, different agendas tend to shape the problems that we encounter at work. And on the module, we teach kind of what that frame looks like and how you can step back, take a breath, and for a problem that's in front of you, apply that political lens. That's just one example. I mean, by the end of the module, students have worked through a particular issue that they're dealing with and analysed it using the latest theories, which I won't go into now, and research on those different aspects of framing. And it's just fascinating, having just graded the assessments from semester one. I think if I just sum up what people tend to get from the module, it's when you take the time to stand back and do that reframing and look at something from 4 different lenses, the insights you see and the creative solutions available that don't often strike us when we encounter a problem are really, really refreshing, and they can really help us solve things in a unique way. So that's our leadership and change module. It's a joy to teach, I have to say, and I learn a lot from students from hearing their perspectives. Second thing I teach, I'll just briefly say, is our capstone MBA project, which allows students in second year again to apply the learnings from across the MBA to a current issue at work. And again, it's about taking the time to step back, and there might be something that has been on your mind to solve, and on this module you'll get the time to do it. You'll get the time to learn consultancy skills and apply them to solving this problem. You'll get the time to do your own qualitative and quantitative research. You learn about interviews, you learn about doing surveys, and really kind of doing the background research to solve this problem. Some people on the program use it to start a new business. Some people use it, they ask their employer, what do you really need help with? And they'll help the employer launch a new product line. Some people will use it to get themselves in front of a prospective employer that they would like to move to, perhaps after the MBA, and they know this problem is a problem for that employer. So it's all about using the MBA learnings, using your skills in research gathering, using consulting skills to scope out the project, and over the year solving this issue. Plenty of exciting things like project pitches, which everyone loves, presentation skills, and working together in action learning sets with your peers. So again, very interesting, enjoyable, and I think for the students that take these modules, very productive. A lot of our MBA projects have a life well beyond the program, have been recognised within their organisations. Some have been featured in newspapers. You can read all about it on the website. And the real problems, or the real projects that work well, are the ones that do solve these real life issues and go on for years after students have left us from campus in Galway. So I'll pass back to you now, Orla. Thanks very much.
Yeah, super, Kate. Thank you very much. And you know, something that I just reflected on there while you were speaking about your modules, because they're both modules that I would have just previously mentioned in the slides that I suppose, you know, typically we would see them as speaking to the transformational leadership piece of our program. But what's really interesting about the modules is that they also speak to the other two pillars in the program. You know, that creative edge piece, you know, particularly in the MBA project, coming up with those creative solutions. And I know particularly with your own work and your own research, you know, that social piece and that business and society piece and your own research very much influences the people side of the leadership and change module. So I think it's quite nice to see that those three learning pillars really are embedded, you know, right throughout all of the modules in the curriculum. So thank you very much for sharing some of your insights. And please now go and do your MBA teaching, please, and, you know, deliver a great session to our current students. So thank you very much, Kate. So next this evening, you will hear from Professor Willie Golden. So Willie is our Professor of Information Systems here in the J.E. Kern School of Business and Economics. Willie, I know you've been teaching on the MBA program for a small number of years now, and I've no doubt that the audience this evening will really, really want to hear your insights on maybe why you're still sticking it out and why you're still teaching on the MBA program and why you enjoy the program. So do please, you know, share your insights with the audience. Thank you, Willie.
You're welcome. Well, first of all, it's lovely to see current and former students on. They have a better picture, and they'll give you, those who are attending and thinking about it, they'll give you a better picture of what the course is really about. What I love about the course is you learn so much as an educator, because you're in a small group, you're teaching out, you're teasing problems. Just as a kind of background, a colleague of mine, Lorraine Morgan, is coming up next, and she's going to talk about the module that we co-teach. I teach essentially information systems, and we have three modules that deal with information systems. The first is about digital enterprise, which Lorraine will speak to. Then we have business analytics and decision making. And this year we now have a full module on cybersecurity. So what's happening is we evolve as the technologies and the needs evolve. So cybersecurity has come on this year. We brought on business intelligence, analytics and decision making about 8 to 10 years ago in terms of its prominence. The one thing I would say in all of these, some people are kind of afraid they're coming into an MBA and they don't know anything about it. That's perfectly okay. It's not, you're not expected to know anything. Our job is to teach you and bring you along the journey. In all of the modules, what we would do is we would teach it through learning journals. So a bit like what Kate is saying, it's applied learning. We teach you stuff. We then ask you to think about it and its relevance to your organization, to your workplace. How can you apply it? How can you use it? What I've found out of many years of teaching, it's the class discussions and the interactions between members of the group that is where a lot of the real learning happens. It's basically people telling about how they've applied the technology in their business, how it's worked, why it hasn't worked, what they've learned from actually bringing in the technology. So they will be the kind of key things I would say, you know, in terms of, you've already mentioned this, Orla, for most MBAs, their class becomes very important in terms of a network, in terms of becomes very cohesive. They have a very good learning environment together. And our job as educators really is to facilitate that learning and enable it. So a lot of times that's what we would kind of be putting emphasis on. Yes, there's stuff we've got to teach them in terms of technology they may not be aware of, but they have a lot, you know, people who are thinking about this course, you already have a lot of experience in an organization. So we try to bring that out in the discussions. I think that's the main things really. So in terms of analytics and decision making is an optional module, but it looks at essentially artificial intelligence decision making. Right now, it also looks at generative AI and these kind of things, and cybersecurity, which a colleague of mine, Tom, teaches, is one of the biggest risk factors for organizations right now. So that's reflected in the fact that it's a full optional module.
Super. Thank you, Willie. And I think you're maybe underselling yourself a little bit, because I don't know if Willie will appreciate me saying this, but I had the privilege of sitting in on Willie's classes 25 years ago, when I did my commerce degree here in Galway, and really loved the energy that you used to bring to the classroom at the time. And I have heard from MBA participants constantly, all of the time, that they really love the insights you have. I think we're very privileged to have that experience that you bring to the program. And certainly, you spoke to that point about really constantly innovating the curriculum, responding to the needs of the current time. And I think certainly in terms of the IT and the digital aspect of our curriculum, I think we are really punching above our weight on that. So thanks very much for sharing your insights with the audience this evening.
Thanks, Orla.
Okay, so next we're joined by Professor Lorraine Morgan. Lorraine is our Professor in Digital Responsibility here in the J. Cairns School of Business and Economics. Again, a very relevant, very topical area that is really relevant now for all organizations and businesses. We're living in a digital era. So Lorraine, over to you for you to share some insights with us on what you teach on the program and what you enjoy about it. Thanks, Lorraine.
Thanks, Orla. And thanks everyone for tuning in. So I teach a module called Managing the Digital Enterprise. Now, first of all, I really, really enjoy teaching this module. In actual fact, teaching on the MBA program is probably one of my most favorite programs to teach on. And I really kind of enjoy the interaction that goes on in the class and the in-class discussions. For many years, I've worked with industry on various kind of research funded projects. So in that way, we're kind of learning new things as well. So I'm kind of liking the two-way discussions that go on in the class. So the module that Willie and I teach, what we try to do is kind of equip students or professionals with the knowledge and skills that they need to kind of lead and innovate in an increasingly digital business environment. So a lot of students kind of email me on the side and go, is this a real techie module? It's not. I mean, you will hear about the various enterprise systems in organizations and the ways you can use, manage, and develop these systems, to add value in the enterprise. But we also kind of look at things like understanding digital transformation and its impact, how you leverage emerging technologies like AI for competitive advantage, how you develop, say, digital business models and strategies, and how you kind of drive innovation and agility, say, in the digital economy. So the module focuses on the technological, strategic, and operational aspects of running a business in the digital era. Okay, so we look at things, as I said, things like artificial intelligence and decision making. We look at digital transformation. We look at management strategies and digital business models. So it's really, really interesting. It's as I say, it's very interactive. And we kind of touch on things like ethics and organizational change and cultural shift. So yeah, I find that students really enjoy the module. We look at kind of various case studies around digital transformation. We have some kind of industry guest lectures, and we have some debates and panel discussions. So yeah, it's very, very interactive. It's really, really enjoyable. So yeah, that's the module on managing the digital enterprise.
Super. Thanks so much, Lorraine. And, a lot of what you've said there marries with what Willie has said as well, in terms of the importance of this skill set really for any organization now and any business. So thank you very much. And I know that you're joining us on your mobile hotspot this evening, so no doubt you're affected by the storm damage, the same as everyone. So thank you very much for giving us some of your time.
No problem. Thanks.
So next, you will hear from Professor Jonathan Levy. Jonathan is our Professor of Entrepreneurship and Regional Development here in the J. Cairns School of Business and Economics. So a lot of what Jonathan teaches, I suppose, speaks to that creative edge pillar that we talked about in terms of developing those innovation and those entrepreneurial skills in our participants. So Jonathan, I know that you'll do a much better job than me at discussing your module and your teaching. So the floor is yours, Jonathan.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Orla. Hi, everybody. It's great to see you here. And also, I noticed some familiar names among the attendees. So you're very welcome. So as Orla said, I teach an elective called Entrepreneurship and Innovation. I've been researching, practicing, teaching innovation for well over 40 years now. And in fact, I think I've taught this MBA class or versions of it in 11 different countries around the world. So, so what do we do? So we look at the theory and practice of entrepreneurship, and then we really get into the practice. So in 3 days from a standing start, you're put into teams and you have to come up with and validate a new business concept and pitch it to a really tough a set of potential stakeholders, which are the other people in your class. So what do I enjoy about it? Well, I think, you know, if I compare it to where I've taught elsewhere in the world, it's probably the most hilarious experience because, you know, Barry O'Sullivan, who founded Alto Cloud, he said in a talk in the Portishead not too long ago, he said, you have to be a bit of a chancer to be an entrepreneur. And this class brings out the chancer in the participants, but they're not allowed to get away with it by their peers. So very quickly, just to go through what we do, the first day is spent looking at the importance of entrepreneurship in the world and entrepreneurship culture in organizations and how it can be enhanced. And then we get straight into the practice of entrepreneurship. You get into your teams and you go through a set of one-pager exercises that are based on theory, but they really help you to develop and validate and test your business concept. And that involves going out and interviewing potential customers, perhaps even getting contingent orders. We've had that just in 3 days. And that all builds up to a pitch in the third day. But in the meanwhile, in the afternoon of the second day, we go out on a field trip to meet some entrepreneurial ventures. Last year, we went to the Portishead and we had fireside chats with some very senior entrepreneurial leaders in Galway. So people like the CEO of Siren, John Randalls. We had somebody from the senior management team in CitySwift. So these are very entrepreneurial, fast-growing, exciting businesses. So as I said on the last day, you pitch to your peers, and that's a really exciting part of the day. So you experience entrepreneurship for real, really, or as good as real. And I've seen people having to breathe in, breathe out because of the stress that's building as they find a fatal flaw in their business concept and they have to pivot. But the great thing about it is that while the teams are competing with each other, they're also helping each other, and it really helps to bond the class. So I think that's probably about it for me, except to say that in addition to the pitch, you also have an individual exercise to do, which is to diagnose the entrepreneurial culture of an organization. It might be the one you work for or another one you're familiar with, and try and figure out ways based on what we've done in the class to enhance the entrepreneurial culture of that organization. And very often that leads people to make significant suggestions to their leaders, and as a result, the organization can change quite significantly. So that's it from me, and I'll pass you back to Orla.
Super. Thanks so much, Jonathan. Honestly, your module sounds really exciting. I think I might join a few of your classes in the upcoming year. There is a sense of a Dragon's Den feel to it. I get the sense.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, it just sounds fascinating. And, you know, that's real evidence of experiential learning in our program, you know, offsite field trips. one-on-one access with top entrepreneurial experts, and then that applied pitch, that students engage in at the end. So fascinating, and thank you for sharing some of your insights with us on that. Okay, so our last faculty speaker this evening is Mr. Niall O'Reilly. Niall is an executive leadership and team coach. Niall delivers the leadership development module that I spoke about briefly already. So I know Niall will be much better placed to speak about this module with you and give you some insights as to the skills that you will be developing if you choose to pursue this program. So over to you, Niall, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Orla, and good to see everybody here, and even the people I can't see who are here. I suppose the people we're addressing most importantly, and it's lovely to see some of the former graduates and some of the current participants who will bear witness to what we're saying, or perhaps even maybe contradict it. I'm not sure, but nice to see you guys here. So I've been involved with the program since 2014. And I'm glad I'm down the list of speakers because I had some fairly invasive dental interference this afternoon, and I can't feel the side of my face, so I hope people can hear me okay. I was wondering if I'd be able to speak at all, but I think I'm okay. You hear me clearly? Excellent. So look, our module, I teach, or rather facilitate, with a colleague of mine, Deirdre McLaughlin, who's also an executive coach, and we've both been coaching full-time for many years. For me, this is year 21 as a full-time executive coach, working with people in organizations here in the UK and in the US currently. And our invitation, I guess, is for you to come along and to study yourself. It's an area of study many people don't take up, but it's an endlessly fascinating area of study. So there are kind of two key questions that underpin our module. The first one being, who have you become? So when you look at your life journey to this point, who have you become as a person, as a leader? And I'm philosophically disposed to the idea that leadership is not optional. We all have the challenge. Possibly our biggest leadership challenge is to lead the various versions of ourselves that turn up every day. So leadership, I believe, is for everybody. So in the first instance, the response to that question, we explore who you have become by inviting you to get to know your values, your personality traits and factors, your emotional intelligence, and we invite people to get engaged in their inner development. The title of the module is Vertical Leadership Development, and we tend to think of development as a process of knowledge acquisition, and through the application of that knowledge and practice, the development of skills. And that's really important and obviously central to the MBA. But known as horizontal development. Vertical development is about looking in and looking at the depth and breadth of perspective, how you are aware of yourself, how you relate to other people, how you manage yourself, how you impact the systems that you work in. So you'll explore in depth that question, who have you become? And the second question is, who are you becoming? And can you proactively play a part in that continued emergence of your own becoming and your own leadership development? So at the end of the MBA program, you will definitely know a lot more, having heard from the various people that are going to teach you really interesting facts about different disciplines. But in addition to knowing more, you will be more, you will be different, you will see the world differently, you will act in that world differently, and you will impact that world differently. So if you're looking to change your impact, if you're looking to develop your self-awareness, your capacity for self-management, your ability to influence others, and your ability to influence systems, then you're coming to the right place. So it's an extraordinary privilege to teach on the MBA program and to facilitate students on this developmental journey. And I'd have to say, as some of the other speakers have said, I've learned so much from it myself because of the fantastic people that I've met on the journey. And I think a kind of unexpected dividend from an MBA is the richness and depth of connection that you get from the people who are on the journey with you. So I look forward to meeting you guys in September, hopefully, and to facilitating you on that developmental journey.
Fabulous. Thank you, Niall. And, really what I love about your module is that real personal reflection that I think all of us need to do. As you said, leadership is something that's incumbent on us all. And it can be quite uncomfortable, I think, to do that initially. But I know a lot of students comment on that at the end of their journey, that they really like actually that accountability, stating those personal goals and aspirations at the beginning of the MBA journey and maybe at the end, reflecting on those goals and holding yourself accountable. So a real fascinating personal journey, I think, that you really bring our MBA participants on. So thank you very much for sharing some of your insights on that this evening. So that finishes our talks from our faculty panel this evening. But just to mention that, that's only a very small flavor of the modules and the type of content that we deliver on our MBA program. We cover many other areas and skill sets as well. Of course, we cover the functional business areas like accounting, finance, management, marketing, economics. But I think if you really want to get a sense of the detailed curriculum that we have on offer, I would encourage you to browse through our program website. And I will include for you in a few slides on, I will share with you a QR code that you can scan, and this will take you directly to our MBA program website. And please do familiarize yourself with the website and have a read of the various modules that we offer on the curriculum. There's a really detailed description of each of the modules on the program, and it will give you a sense of the types of skills and the knowledge that you will develop on our MBA program. So I'd like to turn now to some of our current participants on the MBA program, and then some of our former graduates of the course, who I suppose will really share with you the real world insights and the true stories and the true insights from their own personal experience and their first-hand experiences on the program. So first we will hear from two of our current students on the program. We're joined this evening by Rahul and Tara. So thank you very much to you both for joining us. I've no doubt that you have endless deadlines and assignment deadlines already creeping up. It is week 3 in semester. In the world of academia, we count our weeks in numbers. And I know that week 3 means that things are really getting busy for you guys. So we really appreciate you joining us this evening to share with us some of your insights. So I might turn to you first, Rahul. Rahul is in first year of our MBA program. So Rahul has just finished his first semester of the program. No doubt you're glad to have the first semester done and dusted, and congratulations on completing that first semester. And maybe you'd like to share with members of the audience here with us tonight, if you'd like to share with us some of your own experiences and insights from that first semester on the MBA program. So over to you, Rahul.
Thanks, Orla. Good evening, everyone, right? And I was thinking, like, what's the best way to convey the impact of one semester can actually have, like, on an individual's career? So I have, like, 3 key examples which I can leave you with, right? Like, one, and Niall, I'm sure you'll be very happy to hear about this, that the vertical leadership development, I was actually able to identify what is my exact leadership style and convey that to my team, which has had a huge positive impact on the development of my team, both horizontally and vertically. I took over this team, which was like completely demoralized. And right now this team has the highest ENPS that's available in the site, in the Galway site at least. The second impact is when we were struggling to hire for this team. I've actually been able to make 2 hires just by explaining them the kind of development that we do in this team. So fantastic impact by learning about the vertical leadership development. The second example, I took over a team of 60 people, which is like a BPO team in Vietnam. Now the peer-to-peer learning comes into place. We have a colleague who's a director of BPOing in a company. took some advice from her, sat down for half an hour, made that phone call, learned from her. And in a space of 3 months, the team has actually increased the productivity by 25%. And I've actually been able to reduce the headcount of the BPO by another 20%. So that's like a 44 to 45% gain, again, in a space of 3 months, 1 semester. So another fantastic example of how it helps. And the third most important example, which I felt in my career, is there's been an attitude change, right? Like I was always of this mindset, hey, what can I do for the company? But because I'm learning so much, I'm able to make those networks in the company. For example, now that we have the marketing leadership module, I'm going and spending time with a marketing director. The conversations have really changed from what can I bring to the company to what can the company do to keep me in a long-term horizon. So I think these three examples are like fantastic way to just show you like the impact of 1 semester can have. And because of this, I've just come back even more motivated to see what the next 1.5 years are going to bring.
Yeah, thank you, Rahul. I mean, that is real hard evidence of, how 1 semester in an MBA program can have that much impact on your career, and the real world impact that that's having on your day-to-day career role. I mean, if you've 1 semester completed and you've achieved all of that, I cannot wait to see what you will have achieved after another 1.5 years on the program. So fantastic examples there, I suppose, of the real applied learning that you're taking from the classroom. And it's fantastic because I know you really do engage with all of the discussions in the classroom. So it's really fantastic to see how you've brought that from the classroom right into your place of work. So thank you very much, for sharing with us those real practical examples this evening. So thank you, Rahul. So we're also joined this evening by one of our students from the second year of our MBA program. So Tara is joining us this evening from some beautiful sunny region in Italy. So just to make us all very, very jealous in the height of the aftermath of the storm here in Ireland, Tara has very generously joined us to share with us some of her insights. So Tara has probably, is probably beginning to see some light at the end of the tunnel now, coming towards the end of the program. No doubt that you're counting down the days now to the end of May when the assignments and the projects will be finished. So Tara, I'm sure the audience would really love to hear some of your own personal insights from your journey so far. Thank you, Tara.
Thanks a million, Orla. And I think proof that the blended learning approach really works when I can dial in from a project visit in Italy this evening. So I approached this evening really with the kind of things that I would have liked to have heard when I was coming onto this this session, and I can't believe it's 2 years ago. So that's the first thing, that time will absolutely fly when you sign up. I am the CEO of a not-for-profit organisation called Longford Women's Link. And really the reason I was looking at Galway, first of all, I'm a university graduate, or graduate of the University of Galway, so I'm very familiar with the standards and the expertise that's within the university. And I'd researched a number of programs, but I really felt that the breadth of material, and you've heard a lot of the variety of courses and modules this evening, but also the block release and the scholarship options, which I know will be spoken about later, made it the best option for me. And really what I was looking for was a change in how leadership was both studied and implemented, but also I wanted to challenge myself outside my sector. So I can honestly say, and even though I'm not finished, but I am 3/4 of the way through it, it has been one of the best professional and personal decisions I've ever made. For a number of reasons. There's a huge number of highlights throughout the programme. Obviously, the Gateway, the International Gateway trip to Fordham University is just one of the most amazing experiences you'll ever have. But it's the overall integrated learning experience, the combination of the lecturers who really are masters of their subjects and that expertise, alongside the networking opportunities, the friendships that you make within the programme. They're absolutely amazing. And there's a really diverse cohort within the group, as Orla has said earlier on. They're small classes. We're a class of 17. Everybody has so much knowledge and expertise and experience that you really find yourself learning every single day that you're on campus. I come from a political science and arts background, and one of the things that I was very trepidatious about was, would I be able to engage with subjects I hadn't studied before? And I know Willie talked about that, about the technical side of things. So subjects like I'd never studied accounting or economics or digital enterprise systems analysis, they ended up being the subjects that I actually ended up enjoying the most, because again, down to the discussions in the class, the quality of the lectures, and that really enjoyable and rewarding sense of participating in something that is changing your perspective and your thinking. And I think from my own role, it has brought a whole new perspective to my thinking, to my leadership practice. I think we're living now in such a complex world of work, particularly post-COVID, that the knowledge and skills you need are critical in order to navigate those complexities. And I think the MBA has really enhanced those for me. So when I was considering my application 2 years ago, I had two concerns. And the first was, would I be able to balance the workload alongside the demands of my role? It's not a general 9-to-5 role. Case in point, I'm here in Italy on a work project trip this week. Would I also still be able to have something of a life? And would I have the ability to study and progress quickly with subjects I hadn't studied before? And an emphatic yes to both questions. So I won't lie, the workload is intense, but you look at it as 2 blocks of 12, 13 weeks, you'll get your assignments done. But there's a huge amount of understanding within the university of everyone's life demands. And I think the fact that you're even attending this open evening means that you already have that level of commitment in your mind. So I think despite the odd exam here and there, it's a very, very enjoyable experience. You will get out of it what you put in. But I think if you embrace it fully, if you're open to those new ideas, those perspectives and those opportunities, I think it'll be one of the best decisions you'll ever make. So thanks, Orla.
Super, thank you, Tara. And I smiled when you mentioned that, you know, you were dreading studying subjects like accounting before you joined the program. For anyone in the audience that might be interested to know, I'm actually of an accounting background myself. So apologies in advance, but I am a chartered accountant. And often when I, take my year 1 MBA class on the very first day, I do apologize at the start, saying, this is an accounting and a governance module. And I always get the same reaction from students. It's that fear and that horror that comes into their faces at the start. But what participants always say to me afterwards is that really the value of doing an MBA program like this is to give you the confidence to be able to sit at the table and have discussions with other people in the areas of business and not be afraid of a financial document or a marketing document or a strategy document that's put in front of you. So what the program does is it gives you those skills to have that confidence to be able to engage in those conversations at a strategic level and not have the fear, that sometimes can creep in when you think of financial and economic numbers. So really pleasing to hear that we've whipped that fear out of you. So thank you very much, Tara, for sharing your insights with us and for joining us this evening from such a faraway location. So I think while that was really valuable, and it's great to hear from current participants who are right in the thick of it at the moment and really in the middle of the looming deadlines, what's also really useful for you is to maybe hear some perspectives from some of our former graduates from the program, because of course you're all hopefully very interested in finding out what it's like during the program. But equally important for you is to maybe find out, what are the benefits of having completed the MBA in terms of how does it impact your career? How does it maybe help you to elevate your leadership potential and accelerate your career? So what we felt would be useful is to invite 2 of our former MBA graduates here tonight to just maybe share with you some of their experiences, their reflections on their time from the MBA, but maybe even post-MBA, how they've been able to apply that learning in the real world. So we're joined by 2 of our former graduates. Welcome, Ciara and Ed. You're very welcome back. And the experience must not have been too bad the first time round, given that you've joined us tonight. So it's great to see you all back. Ciara, I'll turn to you first. Welcome back. It's been a few years since you've graduated from the MBA program. So maybe you'd like to share with members of the audience tonight your own personal reflections on your journey. Thank you, Ciara.
Yeah, thanks a million, Orla. No, it's great to be back and see some of my old lecturers there, and it's always good to see the faces and reminisce a little bit. So I probably got a few things that I want to kind of convey to those who are thinking that maybe the MBA might be for them. So I know that one of the concerns I had was that, is it all academic or is it something that I'll actually use? And I think somebody in our class described it as you can learn something on Friday and you can apply it on Monday morning. And that, I think, was a huge benefit, because what it meant was at the time, like, my employer was able to see that like things were developing, were moving. They could see like a difference in me, I think, pretty early on, that I was able to learn something and apply it. So while there's the academic part of it and, you've got exams or you have assignments or whatever, it really was kind of like somebody had pulled the curtain back and you were able to see what was going on behind, so you can see like the workings of your business. You could you could kind of say, that's what happened there, and I understand why that's going that way now, and here's another way I could deal with this particular scenario. So I think that was the first one, was pretty good. The second one, I think a couple of people have referenced, is the network. I think it's in the second block, maybe we did the residential, and you get to really kind of know in depth your class and your classmates. That network, I would say, is more than a network. I'd say it's quite real. I'd say it's very deep. I can give multiple first-hand accounts of how that network has contributed to people's career development, to business deals, to connections that were made that have, you know, helped people along their journey. Like, so it's more than just kind of going to, I don't know, some sort of networking event where everybody has a glass of wine, you have a couple of canapes and you leave again. It's way more real than that, I think. So that's another benefit. And one of the key things, I think, so like something that happened in the MBA that made a big difference to me afterwards was the capstone project. So I did the capstone project on the company I was working for at the time. I came in as an accountant. I'm one of you, Orla. I'm there too. But I came in as an accountant and I thought, that's great. You know, I'll continue to be like in this avenue, in this lane as an accountant. But I was able to take on a capstone project that put me in front of teams that I had never spoken to before, gave me experiences across the company that I would never have had business kind of sticking my sort of my toe into before. And that project that I delivered there was real. We saved on the pilot that we ran while I was in the MBA, we saved $250,000 a year on that project, and that was an annual saving. And that was only on the pilot, and they rolled that out thereafter. I got 2 promotions over the course of doing that project. I got many international job offers, you know, for like stepping outside of my role there. So it also then became the spark that made me start the business that I'm in now. I'm 2 years working for myself. I've got a team that we've started to build. I'm working with some of Ireland's biggest companies, most well-known companies. So like all of that was kind of the spark from the ASLP. I don't think that would have happened if I had have you know, maybe done what everybody else told me to do when I was saying, what's my next kind of career move? And everybody always tells the accountants, well, maybe you should do your tax exams. That's what they kind of tell you. So I didn't do my tax exams. I did the MBA instead. And it absolutely opened up a world for me that I had never considered was there for me. So yeah, I think it's had a pretty big impact, and so much so that my husband went and done it as well. So he's only out of it a year. So we've got a house full of graduates here, and yeah.
Super. Yeah, thank you so much, Ciara. I mean, I could pick up on lots of the points you mentioned, but I suppose, you know, maybe really to summarize, I think 2 of the obvious key takeaways there that you're saying are the depth of the relationships that you really develop in an MBA program. And we're often asked, you know, what is the benefit of doing an MBA program over and above maybe a short micro-credential executive ed type program? You know, there are a lot of online 6 or 8 week offerings that are available now in the executive education space. And honestly, I really believe that you really need that 2-year on-campus, in-person program to develop the depth of relationships that are so valuable to you for the rest of your career. And you just cannot replicate that with any of those short-term courses. And you also really mentioned, I suppose, that immediate application of the knowledge that you got in the classroom, and really immediately applying that in your projects and in your career. So thank you for sharing those insights with us, and thank you very much for giving us some of your time this evening. So lastly, I'm going to turn to Ed. So thank you, Ed, for joining us. And Ed is a more recent graduate of the program. So great to see you back, Ed. And you know, the
Orla.
experience mustn't have been too bad the first time round. You're back tonight, and it's fantastic to see you here. So I know the experience is probably still fresh on your mind, but maybe if you want to share some reflections on the actual experience of the program, but also maybe how have things been since, and how are things progressing for you now? Thank you, Ed.
Sure. It's great to see past lecturers and past colleagues, Tara and Kira and stuff. We've crossed paths before. So hello everybody. Good evening. Ed Beattie is my name. I am a 2024 graduate of the MBA program, so fresh graduate. I just jotted down a few, I suppose, a few key points that I thought might be beneficial to prospective students, the kind of stuff that I was mulling around in my head this time, 3 years ago when I started to consider this. Why was I interested in doing an MBA? Well, I did a primary degree 12 years ago now, and it was a very, very specialized primary degree. It was transport engineering. There's only kind of so adaptable you can be within that type of an environment. I have been working in that environment for 10 years, and I hadn't ever ventured out away from that kind of supply chain, logistics, transport area. And I felt, even though I had got promotions and so on across the lifespan of my professional career, I felt I hadn't professionalized my experience in general management type of principles, HR, finance, and so on. So I was very conscious that I was quite siloed and not very generalized in my formal management training. So that was kind of the main driver for me, that I went to look at options for an MBA. With regards to the MBA in the University of Galway itself, a very, very practical reason for me was the structure of the program. It really, really suited me. I work quite a bit in the UK and stuff like that. So it really suited me, knowing exactly what days, what blocks, where I was going to be. The on-campus blocks, 2 days a week. Every third week, I thought were very well managed. They were very well spaced out, and it was a welcome, I suppose, break from the humdrum of working and family life and all that kind of thing. To be on campus, you would get fairly jealous of the undergrads and think, how is my life bypassing me like this? But anyway, so yeah, just from a very practical point of view, that is very, very beneficial. Also, I suppose what I would say to anybody considering it is, reach out directly to somebody that has been through it. You've probably picked up on all of our names that have been speaking to you here now, current students, past students, and so on. I'm certainly open to answer anyone's questions on a one-to-one basis on LinkedIn or something like that. Look me up or whatever. I'd be delighted to do that. There's absolutely nothing to be worried about in terms of an academic point of view. I would count myself being far from academic. You're not going to be in lectures where people are throwing mountains and mountains and mountains of theory at you. Obviously, there will be elements of theory, but you're applying that in a very, very practical way. I think Willie mentioned it earlier on, where he was intrigued, I suppose, by a lot of our experiences. And it's all about that, sharing our experiences, shaping theory around our experiences, around our professional experiences, obviously, and how that has improved, I suppose, our thought process, our decision-making process, and all that kind of thing. I'm just scanning through my notes at what other key points that I brought away. Of course, the networking. Yeah, that's the final one there. I can't read my own writing. Networking for me was a huge thing as well. I had spent live and base myself in Roscommon, but have worked mostly away worked mostly in the UK or mostly in Dublin. So I was very conscious about building a kind of a corporate professional network in the west of Ireland. Just if I was going to be looking at pursuing other roles or new roles outside my existing organisation and stuff like that, you will have huge opportunity to gain and build very meaningful networks like Ciara mentioned there. You're not just going to be going in, swanning around on a cheese and wine evening and walking out again. You're going to be having very, very meaningful conversations with people that you will have very, very strong connections with within your own class, or people within a class below you or a class above you. You're going to be mixing with both classes during your time. And meeting some very, very high profile guest speakers coming in and out of the course as well. So that I think, and of course post the MBA. So I approached the MBA with a view of, okay, I've spent 10 years in kind of the transport, logistics, supply chain world. I wouldn't mind removing myself away from that world a little bit. Fortunately or unfortunately, post the MBA, I suppose I have developed, or maybe I have realized that I have some skills that I possibly didn't realize I had before this, and it has caused me to get involved in more of a sales and marketing type of a role within the organization that I work for, DHL. So, you know, what I will say is you might have a career plan in your head when you're coming into the MBA. Be very open and be very flexible, because things might change. You might realize stuff about yourself through the likes of Niall's module, where you'll think, okay, this is why I want to do this, or this is why I don't want to do this. Be very open, be very flexible, and enjoy the process. So that's all I think, Orla.
Great, thank you, Ed. Yeah, again, lots of points that I could pick up on there, you know, but I think one point that you really mentioned that's worth maybe emphasizing again is that on-campus experience, because you get the schedule, you know, so far in advance. We provide you well in advance with the 2 days that you will be required to be on campus. Actually, you know, nearly every student always comes up to me after the on-campus classes and says, God, that was a great break from work, from home, from, you know, it's a really enjoyable 2-day block, you know, and really everyone that comes on campus really loves that experience. And, you know, we've often, I think since COVID, a lot of programs might have moved more online and have provided a lot more, you know, online evening classes. And we've often reflected, you know, as we continuously do with this program, we reflect on what meets the needs of our participants and our program. But we continuously every year get the same feedback from participants. No, do not remove those 2-day in-person blocks, because nothing else can replace that type of camaraderie, you know, and sense of identity that the class develops. So, you know, fantastic to hear that coming out, and great to hear, you know, that you are maybe venturing into areas and potential new career paths that you may not have thought about before. And that's the whole point, I think, of pursuing an MBA, is to open the door. And I really like your piece of advice there for members of the audience, you know, don't ever, you know, rule anything out. And this is about a journey, and it's really about a journey about learning about yourself and where you want to take your career. So fantastic insights again. So thank you, Ed. Thank you, everybody, all of our panelists, our speakers who have joined us tonight, Ed, Ciara, Tara, Rahul, and all of the members of the teaching faculty. I do hope that members of the audience have gotten a little bit of a sense as to the real life experience that you will enjoy if you undertake the MBA journey here with us in University of Galway. So I'll just maybe very briefly finish with some information on the current scholarships that are available for the MBA program. So we have a number.
Orla, sorry, it's Willie here. There's just one question in the question and answer that
Sure.
I think is worth answering. And I think Tara might be actually able to answer it well in the sense, I don't know if you can see it. There seems to be a lot of projects that are connected to the workplace.
Okay. Tara, if you're still with us, and if you're not in a rush to head off to the beautiful Italian region, so there seems to be a lot of projects connected to the workplace. How do I know if my organization is suitable? I work in a business entrepreneurial environment. I work as part of a small team. I worry that maybe implementing some of the modules could be difficult. Okay, so I think the concern there is, is there an opportunity to apply, if this member feels that their organisation isn't suitable? What's your own take on that, Tara?
Yeah, and it was a concern I had with some of the modules because, I'm with a not-for-profit. We're about 60, 65 members of the team in total, which is large enough for a non-profit, but when it comes to, larger, strategy and business discussions would be quite small. For me, and this was where the interaction with the lecturers was really, really important. For me, it was about looking at what works for you and making the modules work for you. So looking at things that were being discussed in class, then looking at the theory and looking at, well, where is this going to fit for me? What's my most pressing concern? I was in the middle of overseeing our 5-year strategic plan at the time. So there was an awful lot that I was pulling from various different modules. But again, at the end of some classes, like we were talking, particularly in the financial side of things, and we're talking about various different aspects of finance and financial performance. Like our financial performance is very straightforward. You either are in surplus or you're not. So, but again, it was talking to the lecturers at the time about looking at, the social return on investment and adapting things to suit yourself. The same with the marketing module as well. I looked at that and we were rolling out a new interagency program for domestic violence initiative that we were doing, and I was able to apply all of the marketing theory to that and make it a success. So for me, it's about, and that's a whole learning journey as part of the MBA as well, and really, really enlightening and something that's very rewarding when you actually look at a module and you think, God, I'm not sure if this fits. When you start to go into it and you look at the everyday problems that you have in your role as a leader in your organization, you start to see very quickly that there are solutions to be found there. But I would come back and emphasize that the interactions with the lecturers and the discussions with your classmates really help to inform that process. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Tara. Yeah, and I think the point you just touched on is important to make, because a lot of the assignments are group projects, and you actually do get to work with. We have a really diverse suite of students in the program from many different organizations, public sector, private sector, non-profit, and the variety of students in the course and the different industry backgrounds. I think everybody can find some student that they can have that conversation with to help them learn how to begin to apply it to their own. And really, as lecturers, I suppose we're very conscious that there are many different backgrounds in the program. So really, for us, it's about enabling you to take that learning and apply it to your own specific context. Just as an example, I teach corporate governance, and a lot of the time people say to me, oh, well, the corporate governance rules are really only applicable for the public listed companies with the many shareholders. And I think by the end of the module, everybody realizes that, well, even a sole trader needs good governance. So it's about us facilitating the students to learn to think outside the box, so to speak, and learn how to apply that to the particular context. And again, the value of having your classmates there on that, I think, is really important. So thank you, Tara, for helping us to answer that question, because sometimes we don't have all the answers. And thank you, Willie, for pointing out that really good question for Tara, just before she decided to have an evening off. So thank you for that. So I'll just touch very briefly on, I know I'm conscious that, people will have to wrap up soon and people have many other commitments. So maybe to just touch very briefly on some of the scholarships that we currently have available for the program. So these scholarships can provide financial aid towards the cost of the tuition fees. And we have a whole suite of scholarships that are available for many different circumstances. So I won't go into the individual details of all of these scholarship programs, but what I would really encourage you to do is to go to our program website, and I'll put up the QR code for that program website in a minute, and really have a look at the details within these scholarship programs. Tara mentioned the value of having these scholarships, and I've no doubt that there is something for everyone within the suite of scholarships that we have. We have scholarships for female physicians, professionals in the allied healthcare, non-profit, SME sector. We even have a very valuable scholarship now for members of the Gaelic Players Association. Currently have a current member of the Mayo football team. We won't hold that against him, but we have, you know, Gaelic players joining the program. No matter what your background, your industry, there are opportunities available for you. So do please familiarize yourself with the scholarships. And I suppose particularly I would emphasize to you that, you know, these scholarships are in very high demand. And I would really encourage you to, if you're starting to think about pursuing the MBA with us in September, really, you know, familiarize yourself now with the scholarships. Please reach out if you have any questions on how you go about applying for these scholarships. But please note that there is a deadline of the 30th of April. So do get in touch with us as quickly as possible if you are interested in availing of any of these financial opportunities. Okay, so I think all that's left for me to maybe do is just maybe give you some suggested next steps as to maybe what you might find useful now to do after the webinar tonight, and then I will see if there are any other questions that need to be addressed. I suppose, you know, hopefully you've got a nice sense of the program now and what it's about. You've heard from a number of students, graduates, and teaching faculty in the program. But really, you know, we're here all of the time, and I say this all of the time. You know, making a decision about undertaking an MBA is a really, really huge decision and a very important decision. And we're here to help you make that decision. You know, you'll have heard Ed has kindly offered that, you know, if anyone wants to even reach out, you know, to chat a little bit more, given Ed's experience. And that happens every year on these open evenings. Our former graduates and current students are always very generous of their time. So if you'd like to maybe speak with a current student or a former graduate of the program, and maybe even speak with someone from your own industry or your own career background, get in touch with us and we can match you with a current student or a former graduate of the program. All of our MBA community are more than happy to meet you and have a chat. Indeed, if you want to even just pop into us here in the J.E. Curran School of Business and Economics, we'd be delighted to meet you for a coffee. Or even if you just want to send an email, if you're that type of person that is busy, and that's totally understandable, send us an email with your queries. We have some contact details included here on the slide for how you can reach out to us and contact us with any queries that you might have, and the team will get back to you as quickly as possible on your queries. I mentioned already that we have a QR code here, so here it is appearing on the slide. So if you want to scan that QR code, I'll leave that QR code up for a couple of seconds there, and if you scan that QR code, it will take you directly to the MBA program website, and there's lots of information, lots of detail in the MBA program website on detailed curriculum, more information on the scholarships that are available for the program. So do please feel free to browse through the program website, and you know, if any questions come to mind, then you can come back to us afterwards. So we'll just check and see. I know my team have been busily answering questions here and typing answers to questions that have been coming in during the webinar. So I know some of these questions have been answered already. So just to see if there are any other outstanding questions that need to be answered. I know that that question there on the projects and linking that to organizations, Tara has given a good answer to that. Maybe to just give you a very common question that I get asked a lot, and we typically get asked a lot at these types of events, maybe while anyone is thinking of any other questions, is, you know, I suppose, what is the value of doing an MBA? You know, what's the point? What's the added value for me? How will it specifically help my career? I suppose really I think there's two aspects to that, and both of them have been touched on a little bit tonight. The value of doing our MBA here in the University of Galway, the first real key value I think has come through many times tonight from all of our speakers, is that network that you are going to build on this program. It is absolutely a phenomenally rich network of friends, peers, people that you can call on anytime. And a former graduate of ours spoke at a recruitment event that we held last year, CEO of a non-profit charity here in Galway. And he mentioned at one point, he said, you know, sometimes it can be very lonely at the top. And the value of having that Galway MBA network is that sometimes things are not so lonely when you have somebody that you can reach out to, have a chat with, and, you know, really like being able to call on these contacts many years down the road in your career is just invaluable. And I think there is no other short-term program that can really give you that. I think the other like key advantage to doing the MBA is that it will really give you a breadth of knowledge in all of the core business functions and the competencies, and even the current and topical issues now, and the digital issues and the techie issues. It will give you a level of competence that will allow you to initiate change in your own organizations. It will give you that confidence to go and effect change, you know, implement that change. If you're sitting there now and you're thinking, you know, there's something that I would like to see different, I would like to change something, I would like to lead this organization in a particular way, it gives you all of those competencies and strategy setting skills, even the basic accounting skills. And that gives you that confidence that you can go in there and have those conversations and be listened to and be heard, and go and make that impact. You know, I really feel that we don't just develop leaders in this program, we actually develop really impactful leaders that want to go and make a difference and make a change. They are the two key USPs I feel that we offer here in the University of Galway MBA program. I think that might cover all of the questions, and thank you very much for all of your questions and sending through your questions and engagement. Again, you know, a reminder that there is lots of information available on the program website, but at any stage, do please feel free to reach out to any of us with any other questions. We will follow up with all of the registered attendees on the webinar tonight. We will follow up with our newly published brochure, where you will get lots more information on the program. So I think all that's left for me to do is to say thank you. Firstly, thank you very much to my wonderful MBA team, who've been busily typing away answers to questions tonight and who have really organised everything for this webinar and ensured that it ran very smoothly. So a particular thanks to Orla Nocton and Nicola Riley, my colleagues in the MBA program. And I suppose lastly, and most importantly, thank you to all of you. Thank you for attending. Thank you for engaging with us this evening. Thank you for sending through your great questions. I hope that you have found the event some way informative and useful for you. And again, do please feel free to reach out at any stage if you have any further questions. So thank you to you all. Take care and have a good evening, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, everyone. Bye.